Us, and you were live. Mikey, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
This one is not an interview. It's not an interview. I'm here with Mike at Tubes. We met in 2012, and it's just one of those moments I still cherish you today because we've been able to, keep in touch. And in that period, Michael is today one of the biggest, if not the biggest out there. How does that sound?
I'm not. I'm trying.
Not far from the truth.
I'm trying to be, yeah, one of.
Okay.
One of.
One of. Okay. By the time we finish, maybe we'll be D. But how did you get into photography? I'm sure that's a question you get every now and then.
Yeah. Actually, going to photography. Photography has been there from my younger days.
Okay.
But you understand, African parents, you have to be a lawyer.
Typical story, yeah.
Typical story. So, I went to law school and I was not happy.
Okay.
With myself. Finished.
Was I here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Law school. Finished. I was not happy. Went back to the same university again.
Okay.
Studied information system management.
Okay.
Finished. Was not happy. Okay. So someone just like, something must be wrong with you, but I can't figure it out because, from a younger age, you have to be doctor, lawyer, something. So I couldn't figure.
So at what point did you break out of that?
So at some point, I was in church because I usually take pictures in church, and someone just said, "You know what do you like doing?" I said, I like taking pictures." They said they can see. So you just said, "Give it a go," and I gave it a go, and that's it.
So, and when you say give it a go, it sounds very simple, but what exactly did you do by giving it a go?
So I decided I didn't pursue my law because after after your first degree, you have to go to law school and things like that. So I just stopped.
Just stopped.
Instead,
did anybody blow a fuse?
My dad blew a fuse.
Okay.
He was not happy about it. Okay. So, but I just have to do what I have to do.
Okay. And when did you really get into the thick of it?
I think 2012 because I was just doing my normal, a bit of mainstream.
Okay.
But I have this phobia about doing African events.
You mean when you say African events, what do you mean? As in the weddings?
Weddings, anything to do
with African. Phobia?
I have a phobia because they don't pay, the way they talk to you, the way you look down on. I just have this phobia.
Okay. Do you still have it though?
No.
Okay, good. That's good to
know. I'm a prof in that now. So,
you were doing your mainstream events.
So I was doing mainstream.
So is this like covering
Yeah, but then it was like you going to a movie premiere, then I'll be there like 7 hours before the event starts because I don't even know what I was doing.
Okay, so
there was no press pass, nothing. So I just take the pictures from the fan stand and just
you
shout
were not
out.
Accredited at this event.
I was not. So I'll just shout out Tom Cruise. He will look at the picture. So I'll put it on Facebook.
Were you getting paid for some of them at the time?
No. It was just trying to build that momentum. So and I think one of my aunties came from Nigeria.
Okay.
And I did a family portrait.
Okay.
And that led to Keskerin.
Okay.
So she was Keskerin's friend.
Okay. Keskerin, the event planner.
Event planner.
Yes.
It was Keskerin's friend. And I think Keskerin now met you to say, oh, there's this guy that takes pictures. And I remember it was during Olympic 2012.
London 2012, yeah.
2012.
When International Olympic Village.
When you asked me, then I told you about my phobia. You're like, no, you can turn your African events down. And then you started to kind of, I think there was that night, there was a gig at the Olympic Village, Nigerian side. Yes. And there was a few artists.
Celebrities, there was
a few artists.
LD,
LD. I think LD was my first Afrobeat.
And Cass. Because they were together that day.
They were together that day. I think there were few. And even Keskeri's son was rapping.
Exactly.
It was wearing a red shirt.
Yes.
I could remember. I think that was my first Afrobeat gig.
Denzel.
Awesome.
Okay, let's fast forward now. And obviously we built up a relationship since then. But even I never ever thought you'd be where you are right now. Right now, You had an interview in Nigeria where you were kind of described as the hottest and most famous, events photographer, And at times when people are so close to you, at times you don't even see some of these things. And I'm just thinking, oh, Michael, and we're going to be showing some of those images on screen very, very soon now. You've covered a whole host of, if we let's just start with music, Afrobeats.
Yeah.
You've pretty much worked with all of them, from Whiskey to Davido to
Tiwa, Yemi
which was your
Alade.
first main one?
My first main one. I can't remember the first main one because when the whole music started,
Okay.
I was not. There were other photographers before me,
Okay.
so I was not the main guy. So sometimes I had to probably go with dancers to get into the venue.
Okay, access
To the venue.
How important is access to your job?
Very important, because for me, there's no point of me being in an event if I don't have full access.
Okay.
Because for me, what I see, no one can see it. And if I don't have that full access to that event, then there's no point.
But you survived to a point when you didn't have access.
Yeah, I survived. Try
you'd
to
rather
find
have
my way.
access.
I'd rather have access now. So I think I can't remember, but I think first one I could remember is Flavor.
Okay.
And I started to kind of document Flavor a bit just in UK, and I think from photographing him, it was my first artist that took me on tour,
Okay.
proper tour, and I think he saw one of my work when I
Okay.
did my first exhibition.
Yes.
And he was like, "Who is that guy? I need that guy on my team."
Okay.
And it just
And you guys, I remember you guys did some stuff in Dubai as well.
yeah,
In the desert.
in the desert, and that actually was very funny. I was in Awilo's team.
Okay. Was that for the One
Dance
Africa
Af-
Fest?
no,
Oh,
Dance
Afrique.
Afrique.
Yes.
I was with Awilo.
I was at that Dance Afrique, wasn't I?
Yes,
Okay,
you
okay.
were. So I was with Awilo. I was with Team Awilo.
Okay.
And for me, Awilo is a bit shy and thing, and I want to work, and I was just in the hotel, and some of the Flavors team were like, "Oh, Flavor would like to do a shoot," and I just gave them like proposal, and Flavor said jumped on it, and I just went to the desert and photographed Flavor, and things just built. He loved the images, and from there things just developed between me and Flavor.
I know you've done a lot of stuff for Yemi Alade as well. You took that iconic image. She was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about that photograph. And I think since you took it, you're here now to talk about it. In your business, over time, what stands you out as some iconic images?
Yeah.
You sit back 10 years time and think, oh God, I took this. Where does that photograph rank right now?
That photograph ranked as one of my top 5
Right now.
iconic images right now. Top 5 iconic images.
Did you plan it or was it spontaneous?
No, it was spontaneous because that was my first time to photograph in Paris.
Okay.
That was my first time to photograph in Paris, and my experience in photographing in the UK is different from Paris. So I was a bit,
Language?
no,
Or just
general atmosphere,
Okay.
because in UK there is a space between the artist and the stage.
Okay.
So there is a bit of stage
Barrier,
barrier, and as a photographer or a media person, you're
need
in
that
the
space,
middle.
yeah.
So you need that space. But in Paris, it's different. It's close together.
All is one.
And to be funny enough, I was not the main photographer for Yemi.
Okay.
There was at that event. But however, Shopsy
You stole the shine.
yeah, Shopsy said, let's go
Shout
to
out to
Paris. Shopsy said, let's go to Paris and work for, because Shopsy works for, they work and
have a working relationship.
relationship with Yemi, and said, okay, let's go to Paris. And because I was not the main photographer, I tried to just step a bit back.
Let's talk about that. When you're working at events where there is like maybe seniority, or some media people are accredited, they are the front runners, and you are just like support. Do you guys have run-ins? Do you cross lines that can cause trouble?
Um, it could be. Maybe my status now
It's a bit different now,
is
yeah.
a bit different. But then, I just try to stay my cool,
for a while,
and I don't want trouble. But that one was a very it was one of the images that changed my career.
Okay.
Because I was you know, I was looking for that one image because I just went, before even going into the stage. It's funny enough, I just went to a toilet, kneel down, and said, God, please, I need one shot.
Just the one shot.
I need one shot.
At the Davido show, you got the similar one shot as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That I think that image as well. You see, those images, I always ask myself, wow, it's such a big venue, but is that one shot appeared to take in everybody? Is that the lens?
No, it's not. It's not about the lens. It's about, for me, we are one of the Michael Tubes creation is one of the pioneers of kind of documenting African music.
Okay.
You understand?
On tape, on true pictures.
On record.
Okay, yeah.
Try because the way I think, I don't think about today. When I'm photographing an event, I don't think about today. I think about 100 years time. And if you look at in African music, we don't really have those iconic shots that we can talk about. People like the Fela shot was not shot by African. It was shot by a European. So for me, in when I do this event, I make sure that there's an iconic shot when you talk about that photograph, because I don't think about now. I think about 100 years time. When you're talking about this artist, then they'll be able to find something to talk about them. So that's my way of thinking.
When you talk about, funny enough, you're talking about iconic shots. I remember as a kid growing up, I used to watch the national team play football.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, anytime the game is on, you'd always see this very big man in a white dashiki and shorts.
Yeah.
He was known by the name Peter Obe.
Yes.
Peter Obe was a legend, He would carry like 2 or 3 cameras. All the players knew him, all the different squads knew him, and sadly he passed on at a certain point. And I kept wondering, would anybody ever do Peter Obe must have thousands of stuff, Would anybody ever do anything about it? But till today I've not heard anything. Another person, when I used to work for The Guardian in Nigeria, was a gentleman called Sumi Smart Cole.
Oh.
He's coming to have, I believe he's working on an exhibition recently, and it's like photography at that level changed with social media.
Yeah.
And the emphasis kind of moved away from very serious photography in people's eyes to just the easy one.
Mobile phones.
And you are a throwback to that old school thing now. Was that deliberate?
No, it was not deliberate. For me, it's all about documenting our culture, because we have an issue in Africa. In Africa, we don't document anything. For example, I love people like Colinte, Barrister, but there's nothing to remember them about.
With images.
With images. The young generation of these days do not even some OAPs do not even know who Barrister is or who Colinte is. So for me, I want to change that narrative.
Okay.
So sometimes the way my brain works, it works back to 1950s, how images were taken
black and white era.
Black era. You still use your 35mm film. Yeah. So I try to document my subject in a different form, sometimes in digital and sometimes in...
I see you going on with that little 355mm camera as well. Yeah.
So I try to give, so that in years to come, the young generation can have something to go back to. They can have, they can go back and see what Whiskey, Davido, Yemi Alade, Tiwa, Ajenla Kijo, they can see what all those people have done in terms of their music career, and they can build, there's a story. Because one thing about us is, if we don't document our own story, someone will come from a different world and tell us this happened.
Tell us the Mango Park story.
And tell us the Mongo Park
I
story,
discovered River Niger.
because we did not
Document.
document our own story, and no one can tell our own story better than us.
Which leads me to finally your exhibition, which is the whole point of you having your exhibition, and you've had a couple of it. When is the next one?
The next one is coming in months time, and it's called Women in African Music.
Okay.
Women in African Music came up because I feel I've worked with the likes of Yemi Alade, the likes of Tiwa, Angela Kijo. You know, they're not Ninyola.
Yes.
They're not given the same opportunity like the men.
Okay.
So I decided to focus on, you know, on the women
For this
more
exhibition.
for this exhibition.
Okay.
You know, celebrate the women more. Kind of highlight their success story in my exhibition. So.
Awesome. Well, Michael, it's been awesome. This was long overdue, so it was awesome to have you in the studio anyway.
Thank you, sir.
And you're still going to take a picture of yourself at some point.
I'll try.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, the program is still For the Record. And yeah, we have our superstars are in the building already. Even me, I'm getting very excited. We're going on a break right now. When we come back, we get to meet the man from Power.